Good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss on some two topics. The first topic, which is going to be about data description entry. This is going to be the first topic, and the next topic, which is going to be about file section. So these are the two topics that I would like to discuss today. So with this, we are going to complete the unit one, the portions of unit one. So these are the two topics that we missed actually, which presents in between your unit one. Okay. So we have completed almost everything in unit one. These two topics alone, which has been left. So today I'm going to discuss on these two things: data description entries and then file section. So before getting into the presentation, I would like to give some introductions on this file, data description entries and file section. So already we have learnt on some various things in your data divisions and then working storage section. So under working storage section, this particular data description entry, which is going to be one of the component or one of the divisions in your working storage section. So as you people know very well that whatever the data that you are going to use within your program, for all those data must be declared under a data division. So data division, which is going to be an important division, or which is going to be an core component of your program. Only with this data division you would be able to define the data items or data names, whatever that we are going to use within your program. So we used to define or we used to declare the data name or data item in your program. Okay. So the data name or data item, which consists of its name and then its picture class and then its we used to call it as a code character or editing character. So these are the various components that we used to have within your data description entries. So uh, so data description entries, which have some various things like level numbers and then your data name, and then you will have the picture class, and then you will have the editing character or code character, and then and to the last you will have the period dot to terminate that declaration of the data name. So this data name declaration always, which used to start with some level numbers, which is going to be the first component, and then next to the level number you will have the data name, that's going to be your second component, and then third one you will have picture class, the third component, and fourth one the editing character, or else we used to call it as a code character, which is going to be the fourth component of your data description entries. So here in data description entries, normally we used to define whatever the data names that we are going to use within your program. Okay. And then you have one more topic. The topic is file section. So in file section, we are going to define, or we are going to declare, or we are going to specify, so what is the file name that you're going to use. So which is about file description, you're going to describe about that particular file. So in those file description you will have some various classes. Some of the classes are optional and some of the classes are mandatory. So how to use those classes: CLA, USES. So how to use those classes and what are those importance of those classes, and with some examples we are going to discuss about those file sections. Okay. So before getting into these data description entries and file section, I would like to give some revision on the previous topic, level numbers, because yesterday we have completed till value class, and we have some more examples in the value class. Actually we left that. Suppose if time permits, in the upcoming classes I would once again I will explain about that particular value class. Once again I would like to give some a short revision on that particular level numbers and then filler class and then value class, to keep you clear on that particular concepts. So level numbers is very a simple thing, nothing complex in that particular level number topic. So using level numbers, actually we are going to give structure to the data items, whatever that you're going to define under working storage section. So using level numbers, we are going to give some structure. Actually, we are going to frame some structure to the data items whatever that we are going to use within your program. That's about the level number importance. So the level numbers actually, which is going to give some hierarchical structure actually. So you will have some 0 1 level number, and then you will have 0 2 and then 0 3. So like that, we used to have some various level numbers. So starting from 0 to 1 to till 49 we could use level numbers. But to denote the hierarchical structure, we used to use those level numbers in an incremental order actually, in an ascending order. We used to actually use those level numbers while defining your data names. So normally we used to deal with some two different data items. Those data items are the first one, which is going to be about elementary data item, and the next one, which is about group data item. Actually, to differentiate these data items, we are using these particular concepts. The concept is level number. Okay, level number, level number. Okay. So here we have things like elementary data item. So whenever that you're going to define or declare the elementary data item within your program, you could use either 01 as a level number, or else you could use 77 as an option, 77 as a level number to declare your elementary data item. So elementary data item means nothing but the individual data item whatever that you're going to use within your program. Those individual data item, we used to refer it as elementary data item. So to define a elementary data item within your program, you could use either level number 01, or you could use level number 77. Even you could use some other level numbers, any level numbers whatever that you have between 01 to 49. But normally we used to use only these two level numbers for defining your elementary data item, 01 and 77. And then the next important thing is about group data item. So while using group data item, so normally to a group data item, we are not going to define we are not going to define any picture class for that group data item. Instead, we are going to group the elementary data item, and then we are going to give a common name actually. So by grouping the list of elementary data items and by giving a common name, we are going to create that particular group data item. And we have only one important rule while using level numbers in group data item. The important rule is just we have a single rule. The rule is the group data item must have the lowest level number comparing to the subdivisions or whatever the elementary data item that that particular group data item have with it. Okay, for example, yesterday we have discussed this with an example. The example which is going to be what? Date, which is going to be the name of the group data item. Under this we have three elementary data item. The three elementary data items are a day, and then month and year. So these day, month and year, which is going to be an elementary data item, and to this we are going to give a common name. The common name, which is going to be nothing but the date, which is going to be the group data item. Here we used to specify the date with level number 01, and for remaining the list of elementary data item for day, month and year, we have used 05 as a level number. It is not that we have to use only 05. We could use any level numbers, but you have to use it from 02 to 49. You could use any level numbers starting from 02 to 49 you could use. But the only thing here is the group data item must be with some level number which is going to be an lowest value, where the elementary data item under that particular group data item must be uh, greater than the value, must be the level number value must be greater than the group data item. So that's the concept. So 01, which is going to be the level number for date, and for elementary data item like day, month and year, we have used what? 05. So instead of 05 you could use 02, 03, 04, or till 49 you could use any of the values. But there must be what? Some ascending order like structure over there. So this is a single rule. The rule here is the level number of group data item must be with some lowest value, where the elementary data item must be with some high value comparing to your the level number of your group data item. So that's the thing. And then yesterday we have discussed with one more example, the pay. So the pay, which is been further divided into what? Basic pay, and then deductions, and then net pay. Just you have three subdivisions over there under pay. So the pay which is going to be the most inclusive group, group data item. Under that group data item you have three more group data item. The three more group data items are what you will have what basic pay, and then you have deductions, and then you will have net pay. So under these group data item you have further subdivisions. Those things are elementary data items. But while giving level numbers to this group data item, elementary data item, we used to follow some hierarchical structure, or we used to follow the ascending order, like value over there. We used to assign the values in some ascending order, those level numbers values. So the pay which is going to be the least value, and next to that the highest value will be assigned to basic pay, and then net pay, and then deductions. And under that you will have various elementary data items that's going to be which is going to have some highest value, highest level number value. So just by seeing those examples you will get some ideas over there. So just we are going to follow single rule over that. Okay, the rule where the group data item must have the lowest value, where the elementary data item of that group must have highest value. Of value here which refers to the level number value, whatever the level number value that you're going to use, that's what I'm referring it as a value. Okay, so what is the level number that we're going to use for group data item must be lowest, where the level number that to be used for an elementary data item of that particular group must be high comparing to that particular group data item level number. Okay, so that's going to be the single rule that we have while using level numbers. And the next one is about filler class. Filler class, it is going to be a simplest one. Normally we used to use this particular concept filler class along with your files concepts. So filler class, so normally we won't specify any data name for filler class. Instead, while formatting the file content, normally we used to fill some spaces, or we used to fill some asterisks, or we used to fill some slashes in between the data whatever that you're going to use in your file. So to fill those things, actually without specifying a data name, we used to define it along with your working stories section as filler class, and then with some symbols we used to specify it. Suppose we are going to specify the symbol filler asterisk, or filler slash, or filler spaces, so those appropriate characters will be filled whenever that you're going to define those data names of those files in your files. Okay, so just for fill something we used to use those filler class. Okay, but without using any data name, we are going to specify some values within your files, or within your program. You could specify some values, and the values may be some spaces or asterisks or any symbols that you want to specify. So filler class is going to be a class which is used to specify some value, but without any data name specification. We are going to use those values either within your program or either within your files. So that's about filler class. Okay, and then the next one, which is about value class. The value class which used to give some initial values to any data name that you're going to use it in your program. So the initial values that you could give to a numeric data name, or that you could give to a non-numeric data names, or even to an figurative constants, we could assign some initial values. Okay, so normally to assign some initial values to a data name, we are using this value class. Okay, so it's very simple. So actually it used to works like some constants over there, constant value within your program. Okay, so that's it. So that's it about the revision for the previous topic. Now we are going to enter into this particular topic, data description entries and file entries. Muthu, kindly move to the first slide, pa. Okay, so this is going to be about data description entries. So it's very simple, nothing complex over here, because we have already discussed about these things earlier within some other topics, even topics like picture class, and even topics like editing and working story section. We have discussed these things. So this is going to be like a revision or some technical things that we're going to see in depth on these data description entries. So data description entries, from that particular three words, data description entries, we could get some ideas. So what we're going to do over there. So data description entries, which consist of you're going to describe about a data in while defining the entry for your data names or data item. Okay, so what are those description consist of? So under data division you will have working story section. Under working story section you are going to describe that particular data name that you are going to use within your program. So while describing those data names, we used to call those entries as data entries. Under working story section, whatever the data name that you're going to define or whatever the data name that you're going to declare, those declaration or definition we used to call it as in data entries. And then description in the sense, so how well that you're going to elaborate that particular data description, data entries. So that's about data description entries. It's very simple. So you will have the level number as in first component over there, and then you will have the data name as in second component, and picture class as in third component, and then code character or editing character as in fourth component, and to the last you will have period to terminate that particular data name definition or data name declaration. So basically, to describe a data item, we are going to use this data description entries. So the utmost purpose of data description entries is to describe a data item. We are going to use it, and then this particular thing which consists of a level number, and then you will have a data name, and then you have some more optional clauses, and then you will have a period. Okay, so you see here, instead of data name in bracket we have specified as filler. Sometimes without specifying any data name, just by using this filler class we used to specify some values actually. So these are some components whatever that we have, and then we have some clauses which specify certain characteristics of data item. So each and every data item which will be characteristic which will be characterized by this particular classes. So those characteristics will be defined using these clauses, the picture class and then value class. So using these classes, normally we used to use along with your data definition or data declaration. So normally with all those with all those data names whatever that we're going to use, surely we used to use what this picture class, which is going to be an like a mandatory one, value class which is going to be an optional one. Sometimes we used to use it or sometimes we won't use it. So value class for giving some initial values to that particular data item. Okay, move to the next slide pa. So this is going to be the continuation of the previous slide, which comes under data description entries. So these optional clauses may appear in any order within the data description entries. So you could use it in any order. There is no any specific order as how you have to use the clauses. While using picture classes or while using value classes, there is no any order as how you have to use it. Sometimes you may use the picture class first and then value class second next. Sometimes you may use the value class first and then the picture class. So there is no any order as how you have to use those optional classes. Okay, and then you have some rules that to be followed while specifying these things. So there must be at least some one space between any two consecutive components. So between level numbers and then between the data item name, you must have a space, and between the data item name and picture class you must have a space, and then between the picture class and the coding character or editing character you must have the space. Okay, so this is going to be one of the important rule, that between every component that you have in the data description entries must have a space within it, and it must be terminate with a period actually. At the end you have to terminate with period. So the component may be what, a level number, or it may be a data name, or it may be class. Okay, and then the next important rule is, except level number no other component can appear in area A. So normally we used to start with what, level number. So always note that you're going to start with level number. The level number must be present in area A, or else we used to call it as margin A. Okay, the margin A which consists of the column numbers 8 to 11. So the 8 to 11 which consists of margin A, and then the 11 to 72 which consists of margin B actually. So here, except level number no other component can appear in area A. So you have to use only level number in area A, or else we used to call it as in margin A. Okay, the next slide, move to next slide. uh, so The level 01 entries must begin with what? Area A. The rest of the things, the rest of the components, whatever that we have in this data description entries, you could specify it in area B. So you have two areas as area A and area B. The area A, which consists of the column numbers 8 to 11, and area B, which consists of the column numbers 12 to 72. So in area A, you have to specify the level number, and the remaining components you could specify in area A or area B, or else we used to call it margin B. Okay. So other level numbers begin anywhere within area A and area B. Other level numbers which denote, suppose if there is going to be any elementary data item which comes under a group data item, those level numbers you could use it in between uh, between these either in margin A or area A or area B. So there is no any restriction how you have to use those level numbers. Okay. Other level numbers. And then the next one, the other components must be in area B. So already we have discussed that all those other components must be only in area B. And then here along with your data description entry, you can have some delimiters. So the delimiters like comma or the delimiters like semicolon, you could use uh, within your data description entries you could use. The only difference is all these things, whenever that you're going to use these delimiters, must have a space to the left and to the right of those delimiters whatever that you're going to that you're going to use. So while using your data names, okay, while using your data names, declaration of your data names, sometimes you could use what? The delimiters like comma or semicolon. While using these delimiters, the important rule that we have to follow is to the left of comma and to the right of comma, or to the left of semicolon and to the right of semicolon, you have to leave some spaces. So that must be used with some appropriate spaces. Okay, but there is a possibility that you could use what these delimiters while defining and declaring your data names. Okay. And then the next slide, move to next slide. The next one is about file section. So far we have discussed on what? Data description entries. So data description entries, which is about what? We are going to define a data name, or we are going to declare a data name under working storage section. So while declaring or defining your data name, so what are the rules that we have to follow? And then we are calling each and every specifications under your working storage section as components actually. So you will have the level number as a component, and then you will have the data name or data item as a component, and then picture class, whatever the classes that you're going to use, either picture class or value class, those classes as in components. And then you will have the editing character or code character along with your picture class, and then finally you will have a period. So all these things which is going to be in component. And while specifying these components under working storage section, what are the rules that we have to follow? Those rules was mentioned in these slides. So some of the rules are, always whenever that you're going to use level number 01, it must be within margin A or area A. And remaining level numbers, what are the level numbers that you're going to use as in subdivision, you could specify it between 8 to 72 in these columns, either in margin A or in area B. You could specify those level numbers in any of those areas. Okay, but the level number 01 always it must be start with margin A, or else we used to call it as an area A. Okay, and then whenever that you're going to specify these components, you could specify those components with some spaces. That's going to be the second rule. The second rule, which is going to be you have to specify those components with some spaces in between each and every component. Then the third rule, whenever that you're going to use some delimiters along with your components whatever that you have, those delimiters, to the left of delimiters and to the right of delimiters, you have to leave some appropriate spaces. So that's going to be the third rule that we that you have over there. um, and then one more rule is whenever that you're going to the picture class or value class, there is no any order. You could use any of the order. Either you could specify the value class first or picture class first, and then you could use those things in any of the order that you want. Okay, so these are some of the rules that we have over data description entries. Okay, the next one, which is about the file section. The file section, which is going to be an most important one. So whenever that you people are going to use a file within your program, so while using those file concepts, surely we need this file section. Without this particular file section, we won't be able to use the particular file within your program. Okay, the file section, which is going to be an utmost important one for describing or for defining various classes and file characteristics whatever that we have related to files in your programs. Okay, so the file section, which must contain file description entry followed by one or more record description entries for each of the files that you're going to use in your program. So you will have file section. So under each and every file section, you must have file description, and under your file description, you will have record description. So this is going to be actually the order of using this file section. So first file section, and second one your file description, and third one, which is about record description. So make a note of these things. So you have three things over there: file section, and then you will have file description, and then last you will have record description. So these are the three things that we have in order. So whenever that you're going to use your files, you have to describe in this particular order. Okay, so must this file section must begin with file description. So file description entry is always used to specify with this particular two capital letter option. The two capital letter option that we're going to use here is FD, which denotes the file description entry. So along with your file description, you will have the file name. So along with the FD, you're going to specify what is the file name that you're going to use. Along with the file name, you're going to mention some various classes that you're going to use along with your file description entry. So first you will have file section. Under file section, you will have file description entry. The file description entry, which consists of the file name and its classes, various optional classes that we used to use along with your file description entry. Then you have an important rule over here: the file name whatever that you're going to specify, that must be identical with the file name that you're going to specify in the select clause of the environment division. So normally you're going to specify the file name in both the data division, and also you're going to specify it in environment division. So under data division, we used to specify the file name under file section. Similarly, we used to use the file name under the environment division. So whatever the file name that you're going to specify, both in environment division and also in file description entry, must be identical. So both the name must be same. Okay, suppose if there is going to be any name mismatch in the file name, then there will be some error occurrence over there. So stick on to this particular rule, that whenever that you're going to use file name, the file name that you're going to use in file description entry, and also the file name that you're going to use within the environment division must be identical. So this is going to be one of the important rules that you have to use while using file names. So these are some divisions and then entries that we have. And then the file division entry, which is going to have some classes. The classes are: the first one, which is going to be label class, which is going to be label records class. Actually, we have an label records class, and then we have one more classes. We used to call it as an omitted and standard. So like that you have one more classes. These are some classes, the optional classes that we have along with your file description entry. So you have some general format as how you have to use file description entry. So along with those general format, you could get some idea as how you have to define the file description. Okay, and then it's a common rule that whenever that you're going to use thing, you have to terminate it with some period. Period means dot, which denote the end of that particular statement. Normally, the period which has been used with each and every statement to denote the end of that particular statement. Actually, okay. Move to next slide, pa. Move to next slide. Um, okay, and this is going to be the general format for your file section. Um, So in this general format you will have things like FD, which denotes file description, and the next to FD you will have the file name. So whatever the file name that you're going to use within your program, you have to mention the file name over here. And then the next one, which is about label records are or records is. So you have two options: either you are going to use record or record is. Record is in the sense that you're going to mention a single record. Records are in the sense you're going to mention some multiple records. So that's the difference between records or and records is. And then you have two more classes as standard and omitted. So standard, which has been used to mention um, the files that you're going to the disk files that you're going to use within your program. So the standard option must be used only to the disk files alone. And then the next one, the omitted option, which used to specify the card reader or printer files, whatever that you're going to use. So it depends upon what is the device that you're going to use actually for making some input and output related to your files. So normally some of the devices which used to act like an input devices, and some of the devices which used to act like an output devices. So from some of the devices you're going to take some files, and after processing that particular file you're going to store that file in some other devices. So normally whenever that we used to discuss about files, automatically the devices comes along with those files. Basically we used to store those files in devices. Without devices we won't able to create a file and store the file and process the file. So surely we need what we need the support of some hardware. Okay. So those hardware or hardware some devices, those hardware devices whatever that we have, which has been mentioned over here. Okay. So whenever that you're going to use standard, you choose to specify the disk files whatever that you're going to use. So you have some disk. So to mention those disk files, we used to use this particular class. The class name is standard. The next one, the omitted option, which is specifically which has been used to denote the card reader, whatever the card reader that you're going to use, or whatever the printer files that you're going to use to denote that we used to use the omitted option. Okay, so these are two more options that we have, and then we have one more rule similar to the level numbers rule. Always we used to mention the level number 01 in margin A or area A. Similarly, whenever that you're going to mention the FD entries, it must be with the margin A or area A. So that's the important rule that we have. So the record description entry is a 01 level group item. So that's what they are defining over here. And then the next slide, move to next slide. So this is going to be the simple example that we have over here. So in this example, for example, the file name may be the code file. Okay, so we are specifying the file name using file description entry. So basically the card file, in the sense actually we are going to take that particular file from a card reader. Actually we are going to take that particular file from a card reader. So we are specifying the file name. So actually we are specifying the device name as a file name over here. Okay. So that's the thing. So the file name, which is going to be the code file, and the entries for the file in file section. So under file section, the first you will have this FD. FD means what? FD stands for file description. uh, File description, which consists of the file name, the code file, which is going to be the file name. Under this you will have record description. Record description in the sense, whatever the records that you're going to use within your program, those records will be described over here. Records, which is going to be what, the salesman number, and then the filler class, and then quantity, and then filler class, and then unit price, and then you will have filler class, and then amount. So this is going to be the sequence of records that we have used over here. Okay, so these are some various records that we have. So salesman number, which about who is the salesman, and what is the salesman ID, and quantity in the sense how many number of products that he is going to sell per day or per month. That's about quantity of that particular product. Unit price in the sense what is the price of each and every product, each and every unit. Okay, and then amount, what is the net amount or what is the total amount that we have sold per day. Okay, so that's about, so the file which consists of these records actually. So this could be framed like a table like structure. So in this particular table you will have some various columns. The first column which consists of the salesman number, the second column which consists of quantity, and third column which consists of unit price, and fourth column which consists of amount. But between each and every column you will have some spaces. Those spaces will be given by the filler class. Okay, while describing or while showing the output in your files, we need some spaces between each and every column. So those spaces will be given by your filler class. So it's very simple. So filler class, in the sense, without specifying any data name, you're going to create some memory space, you're going to create some empty spaces, or you're going to give some other values whatever that you need between one record and another record. Okay, so the record, in the sense, the entire row of a particular column. Okay, the entire row or the entire record, whatever that we have in a table, the entire row will be specified as record actually. Okay, so the first record which denotes the first salesman, the second record which denotes the details of the second salesman, the third record which denotes the details of the third salesman. So what is the first salesman quantity, what is the first salesman unit price, and what is the first salesman sold amount, net sold amount. So like that, what is the second salesman number, and what is the quantity that he have sold out, and what is the unit price that he have used, and what is the net amount that he have sold out. And then similarly to third salesman number. But between each and every column we need some spaces. The spaces will be provided by this filler class. Okay, so these are the things about what your file sections. Okay, so today we have discussed on some two important things. Move to next slide, ma. The two important things, the two important things are what? The first one, which is about data description entries, and the next one, which is about what? The file section. So we have two important uh, things. So using these things only, we are going to define what? We are going to define the data description entries, and then your file sections. So these are the two important topics that we have. So um, so I would like to pose some questions to you people related to um, related to the value class, and then filler class, and then data description entries, and then at your file sections. So I would like to pose some questions to you people. Um, the questions are, the first question. So post your answers in your chat box, ma. So post your answers in your chat box. The first question, which is going to be, mm, uh, so we used to have some components under data description entries. Okay, so we used to specify some components under data description entries. So what are those components that we used to specify under data description entries? So type those components names in your data description entries. What are those components that we have under data description entries? The data name or class, number, data name or class. Okay, and then data name or class by Kanya. Okay, okay, so the level number, data name or class. So these are some of the components actually. So Divya have answered it very rightly. Okay, the level number, data name, and then class, and then you will have those coding character actually, the editing character or coding character, code character actually we used to call it as an. Okay, so first you will have level number like 0 1, and then you will have the data name, which is going to be, for example, total. Okay, and then you will have a class, the class which is going to be nothing but picture class. So is, so what is the code character that you're going to use? It may be 9 of 5, or x of 5. So similarly, you're going to mention some editing character. So next to that, you will have a period. So these are the components actually that we have in your um, data description entries. Okay, and then the next question is, what is the use of value class? What is the use of value class? Value class is used for what? So value class is used to give some initial values. So Divya have answered it correctly. So to give some initial values, we are using what? Value class. So Divya and Kanya alone answering. What about the remaining? So what about the rest of the people in the class? Okay. A special appreciation to Divya and Kanya because they are answering and they are trying to answer something. Whether they are know or don't know, but they are answering for the questions really very good. And then uh, the third question, which is going to be about um, to describe about the files, to describe the files in file section. What is the entry that we used to use to describe about the file under file section? What is the entry that we used to use, or that we used to use under file section to describe the entry about a file under file section? What is the entry that we used to use? So we have some answers. Program FD entry by Kanya. So FD entry, file description entry, FD entry, which is going to be the only entry that we used to use to define the file names and its classes under file section. Okay. Okay. So with this, I would like to stop the session. So I have marked the attendance for 04 also. Okay, so we have just two absentees in our class. The absentees are 02 and 15, just two absentees today. Okay, number 2 and 15, which is going to be absent. So thank you, students, thank you for listening patiently and for answering my questions. So with this, I would like to stop the session. Okay, thank you.